Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mobile Weekly / Mobile Q&A, where we go over all news that happened during the week of mobile and tech and answer your questions live. If you have a question you want to ask, just ask it in the comment section down below, and I will answer it before the end of the show. Alright guys, so we do have some news topics, so we'll be going over them right away. After that though, I will be answering all questions, so go ahead and start firing them in the comments section. And man, do we have a week of ups and downs and all kinds of stuff in the news this week for mobile and tech. So first and foremost, the bit of news is the Pixel 9a got officially announced, right? 5,100 milliamp battery, the biggest battery ever in a Pixel, beating by 100 milliamps. New camera, it's going to be a 48 megapixel instead of the 50 megapixel we have on other ones, but it's a different sensor overall, so we're waiting to see how this turns out. Love the flat design personally. I'm here for no camera bumps. I am here for making the phone bigger and a bigger battery, like we've been asking for the past 5+ years now at this point. Yes, I'm here for this. In light of other phone companies making their phones thinner this year, this company is making it thicker with the thicker battery. I am okay with that. How about you? But yes, so that is what we are seeing with this one, and I am totally fine with it. You know, give us things that we want with that thickness, right? So give us a bigger battery, give us wireless charging, give us MagSafe charging if you can. You know, Qi 2 standard basically. All that for a thicker phone, totally fine with. Not that like. Because we're really talking so many slight millimeters here. So totally fine with that concept. However, here's the thing. It's delayed. So I don't know what is fact and what is not fact when it comes to this. But the Pixel 9a is released for a month. And here's the thing. I don't know if it was in this article, but I definitely have seen it in some. There is a company, which I've talked about before, Howl, that sent out and kind of suggested what it could be. And other sources are claiming similar things, and it's a component quality control issue. Some people are saying it was the battery. Now, the reason why this is kind of effective is because of the fact that really this is something that I wish we didn't have to go through and wish we didn't have to see, mainly because I don't want other companies to be discouraged by finally breaking the official mark of 5,000, right? I feel like so many manufacturers have been stuck at the 5,000 milliamp battery mark and are afraid to go over it. Most notably, Samsung, right? Samsung has been notoriously stuck on the 5,000 milliamp battery. And when we've always talked about, well, why doesn't Samsung get a bigger battery? We know why. Samsung has been scared of going bigger battery and having issues with it, right? It's something they dealt with in the past. But it's just something that I really get frustrated with because, like, it's been stagnant at 5,000 milliamps for so long right now. We're on the S25. Can someone tell me, look it up, if the S10, would it be the, no, it was the S10 Plus, I think at that point. If the S10 Plus, or I guess it would be the Note 10, maybe around that time, if either of those were 5,000 milliamp batteries. Because, again, we're 2025. We're on the S25 series now, right? I think it was stuck at 5,000 all the way back 5 years ago. Let me know in the comments, though, if I'm right. I believe it was stuck at that point. So I really do want bigger batteries. And don't get me wrong, certain manufacturers have, but they're the manufacturers that don't sell that much, right? It's Red Magic, it's Asus, it's other companies that aren't the prime sellers like a Google is, like a Samsung is. And, you know, LG, RIP, but and, you know, OnePlus has done it a couple times, so kudos to them for actually going through with it. Hopefully we see more of that, but that's the one that's just like, I want bigger batteries. I think everyone wants bigger batteries. And there is newer technology to fit it in a thinner phone with a bigger battery, so I'm hoping more of these companies start to use this because the technology's out there. They just need to utilize it. All right. Now, this one is a big thing, to be quite honest. So the EU is flexing again, and really, the EU has changed Apple so much. It is kind of impressive to see what have they done, and it's not all good, mind you. So I definitely am happy for the EU for making Apple open up their app store so that you can have other app stores and sideload apps in the EU. You cannot do that anywhere else, right? The US has not done that yet. The US probably won't do that. Apple's going to pay lobbyists for sure before they would do that. But the thing is that this is something that was really good by most people. Like, yes, open up the app store so that Apple does not have a monopoly on the operating system, right? That's what Windows was accused of very long ago. When they had a monopoly on personal computing, they had to open up. They couldn't have Internet Explorer be the only internet web browser, which gave way to Chrome. And I think we all agree that was a much better platform. So here's the thing. That's one of the things I've always loved about Android, and people ask me, why do I like Android? Because I have choices, because I can do whatever I want. I don't have to be regulated to something specific. I can do whatever I want. So, that's one of the biggest pros, right? Customization, the ability to get it not only how it works, but if it doesn't work for you, you can change it. Here's the thing, though. The EU also did something not so popular recently, which is had Apple unencrypt everything, essentially. So in the EU, if you have an EU an EU account for Apple, your text messages are no longer encrypted. Your photo upload is no longer encrypted. Like, everything on iCloud is no longer encrypted because the EU wanted Apple to give a backdoor. They did not want to give a backdoor, so they were like, here's the front door, essentially, and let it just open so that, there's no more encryption. That is not what we wanted. And honestly, I don't believe the EU should have pushed that, because it's something that I am fine with encryption in that sense of privacy. Totally fine with that. Obviously, everyone differs in that opinion. Not a political show, so not going to get into that. But there are two things now that they are trying to have them do. One is that they want smartwatches to get the same kind of functionality that the Apple Watch does, specifically for notifications. This, I think, is really big, and it's fair. All other smartwatches have a big issue on iOS just because notifications don't work the same. And that is really problematic. So I am more than happy with that kind of implementation shifting, right? Like, yes, let's change this and make it different. The second one is that they actually want the iPhone to open up their NFC payments so that any contactless payments can work. To be quite honest, I forgot this was a thing, because yes, on Android I can use Google Pay, I can use Samsung Pay, I can use one of my bank pay applications that they're still trying to push. Banks are still trying to push these different ones. But it's something that, again, I like the choice of doing whichever one I want. And Apple has been very strict on NFC since the beginning. Really, I mean, NFC was just so open. But yeah, so definitely something that I really wanted to see. Note 10 had... Okay, so was it the Note 20 then? Someone look it up if it was her... Let me see. Or S20 Ultra. Let's see. 20 Ultra... battery. 4,850. Okay. Note 20 Ultra. Okay, maybe it has been a little bit. I swear we've been at 5,000 milliamps forever, but maybe it has been, more than that. So it's been since the S21 Ultra. Yeah. So since the S21 Ultra, I did look it up. Since the S21 Ultra, we had 5,000 milliamps batteries. So we've had S21, S22, S23, S24, S25. 5 years of 5,000 milliamp battery. It has not moved since then. But if you look back at the years, every year before that, it was like 4,850. It was like 4,600. It was like 4,500. Like it kept moving up. And then when it got to 5,000, it just stopped. So yeah, sorry, went off on a tangent about that. So yeah, I'm all for the EU in terms of this having it like this. I'm all for that. I'm definitely in favor of these two because I don't see anything wrong with it. When it comes to privacy, I think that is more of like a government preference thing than a user preference thing, and I'm always going to be for user choice rather than to help, government. But that's just me. Again, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Are you guys in favor of these two EU changes? Do you think notifications on iOS should be opened up to any smartwatch? And do you think that NFC payments should be opened up to any application? So effectively, you could have you could have Google Pay on an iPhone. So yeah. All right. Now that we gave Apple some stuff, it's time to do that to Samsung, because WTF, Samsung, like this is just not okay. It's really not okay. So, this phone right here charges up to 45 watts. The lower tier phones charge at 25 watts. However, we saw a big shining light this year when Samsung announced their new A series phones. So I believe for the A35 36 and 56 models, definitely the 56 model for sure, it charges at 45 watts, same as the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This charges faster than the regular S25, but it came out after, so sure, maybe Samsung has nailed the faster charging. So now they're like, okay, we're going to make all our phones 45 watt. Not so fast, because, it makes sense for a phone you're paying $500 for, an A series phone. But for a phone you're going to spend almost $2,000, actually with tax, $2,000 on, it doesn't. Because the filings that happened, the latter featured 25. The other two, so the A36 and A56 come with 45 watt wire charging. But the Fold 7 is going to support 25 watt charging, according to the new filings. This is not okay. This is just not okay, guys. Like, it annoys me so bad. It annoys me so much. Okay. So yeah, this is just, it's something that Samsung needs to stay at 45 watt for all their smartphones moving forward. It's something that Samsung needs to do. Like, I wish, and, again, not political stuff and all that stuff. I don't even care if they were from Taiwan or, Europe or whatever company. I just wish we had more competition in the US, like the Chinese phone manufacturers of Xiaomi, Huawei, and Oppo, because they're having 50 watt wireless charging over there. And we can't even get 50 watt wired charging here with the two big ones from Samsung and Apple. And it sucks. Like, I wish competition really slowed down. I will still say it, when HTC and then followed by LG went away, it really hurt the competitive nature of the mobile landscape. And I wish it would come back, because it was thrilling back then. Like, right in the first 8 years, it was an all out crazy development frenzy. Every year there was something new, great, and all that stuff. And I know people say, well, it plateaued. It, like, all phones are very similar now, and then you pay for extras, and now AI is the big thing. But for me, we still see innovation out there. It's just not in most countries. So I really wish it would be better, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think what should be the charging capacity of your smartphone? I am very happy with 45 watt on my S20 on my S25 Ultra. Honestly, I have noticed a difference when I do use the S25 Ultra and a faster charger like a 45 watt. It's so much faster. I have plenty of 30 watts and 45 watt chargers, and I definitely noticed the difference when I do it, especially because I have some, that go up to 100 watts. So 45 is no problem with them. And it's just really great. And yeah, I really wish it would just be more standard as faster. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys care, or do you guys are fine with like 25 watt, which is probably what most of you, I'm assuming, have? But let me know. What would you want to see in your charging speed? All right. This one's pretty interesting. The news of Sony coming out with a 200 megapixel sensor. Samsung's been uncontested in the really big sensor market for a while now. And Sony has been still, I want to say still to this day, the top camera manufacturer in smartphones. Yes, I know Samsung has made their own in their flagship one, but still in the smaller units, a lot of them are Sony camera sensors. Definitely almost every ultra wide and telephoto typically is a Sony lens. But Sony is finally making a 200 megapixel and 100 megapixel solution. Or sorry, they had 100 megapixel last year. Now they're making a 200 megapixel that's being tested, and it should be out by the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year, and still being tested this year. We're getting different reports on different sources, but people ask, why do you want a 200 megapixel sensor? Does it really matter at all? Who cares? Kind of thing like that. And to be honest, it does. As the sensors have gotten bigger, the whole point of them is, one, to have that 2x zoom, especially in low light. That is really important for a bigger sensor. Sony's will actually be physically bigger, which means it'll be better technically than Samsung's as well. So that's the idea behind a bigger sensor. I know a lot of people are like, who cares if it's 200 megapixels? It just pixel bends down to 50 and then down to 12 or 14 or 18. Like it bends down, right? So why does it matter? It matters because of the fact that as we get, wanting to get more zoom with better low light, telephoto cameras do not do good in low light. So if you want to be able to zoom in just a little bit, not 5x or 10x, then that's where the bigger megapixel camera sensor really does matter. Other than that, though, it not as much, but that is where I will say the biggest, especially if you're zooming in on video, let's say, and at night and you want a good quality photo, that's important. So yeah, I'm down for it, but let me know what you guys think. All right. And again, I think this is going to be a big thing this year. It just seems like the year of the budget phones, and I'm here for it. Apparently, CMF, Nothing's entry-level brand, is going to come out with a phone around $200 that really is meant to compete with Samsung's highest selling phone, which is typically the A20 series. So this year would be the A26. I'm really interested for this battle because at $200, I actually think there is a better phone out there, and that's the TCL 60 XE. I am super excited for this phone. Really, like, I saw it at CES, and I think it looks way better than this, but two, it feels awesome, and I love that e-ink display. I'm asking TCL to send me that one because that one I think might be a top 5 of the year to me. Like, if it's as good as I felt at CES, I think it might be a top one. But again, I'm here for the fact that we are getting, like, I really want a competition between every budget smartphone between $200 and $600, and seeing how they stack up against each other by the end of this year is what I'm planning to do. Probably the summer is when I think they'll all be out, so that's when I'm really probably going to do it. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if some things happen, then I might have a lot more free time on my hands in 14 days. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. All right, guys, let's go ahead and follow up now. We're done with the news. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask, just ask in the comment section down below, and I will answer it before the end of the show. All right. Hey, how you doing? I wasn't expecting you to start this early. Bigger battery is better. Absolutely. So yeah, originally the show was started at 8 p.m., but I do admit that I have gotten carried away with time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, still trying to get everything in line. I was lucky enough, not a sponsored video, but TCL did send me an 85-inch TV, and I am, for the first time ever, replacing Samsung as my main living room TV in over 10 years. And it was the TV that TCL showed me at CES. I was really impressed by its quality. I was really impressed by everything that I saw. And I felt like, as a tech reviewer, I'm like, all right, I kind of have to see, is it going to be as good? There are differences I noticed already, and there are certain things that did work automatically with Samsung that I'm kind of troubleshooting. So I'll see everything. It did have an update after I set it up, so I'm wondering how the update changed things. I know apparently it had some issues with the early reviewers that got it before it came out, so I'm waiting to see that. But this new line from TCL is impressive. I only wanted the 85 inch. It goes up to 98 inch, but this TCL TV is the 98 inch version is 1,500. Now, if you've been following TVs for a long time, 3 years ago, 1,500 was like a 65 inch TV price. So the fact that you can spend that much and get a 98 inch TV is insane to me now. And this isn't like, oh, entry level TV. This is basically, I wouldn't say, not their, I would say for the average consumer, it's their second tier down, right? Like it's basically the top tier, I would say, is the Q7 for most people. They do have a Q8 that is even higher end, but I think most people wouldn't notice the difference too much with that. Q7, I would say, is the highest end that most people would typically buy. But the Q6, the one that I got at the 85-inch model, is just, it really, really is impressive for everything you're getting. Local dimming, mini QLED, QD LED too. QD LED, I've explained this before, but if you ever see that, the reason why that's so important is because you're getting a brighter display. So I have a lot of windows in my living room. So the fact that I can see the TV with all those windows open is really important to me, and very happy about that. But set that up today. It took most of my day setting, taking the 75-inch down, putting the 85-inch up, and all that. So really kind of crazy to see how everything is going. But yeah, video will be coming out in like 2 weeks. But really cool to see a difference that I haven't seen in a long time. All right. Hey, from New Zealand. Hey, Trish, how are you doing? I appreciate. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate the videos. I'm glad you can tune in. And what time of day is it over there? Just curious. I'm always bigger battery, better camera. That's the two things, right? When are you in the camera setting video? Dude, I should be doing. I should have done it already. I have recorded half of it. It's a very long video. It's about 25 minutes to record. So I recorded about the first 10 minutes of it doing the photo part. I need to record the second half doing the video part. But yeah, I got part of it recorded. I want to promise that I will have it up by Wednesday. If you follow me on social media, ping me. Where's my video? And hopefully I will get it by Wednesday. That's the goal right now. Better zoom on camera would be good too. Absolutely. With this technology, they still can't fix battery issue. The Note 10 Plus was 4,300. The Note Lite was 4,500. How do I remove 10-second countdown, take a picture on my phone? I don't know what phone you have, but essentially, when you go to your camera, if you have like a timer like this, I don't know if you can see that. If you have a timer, oops, like this is what you're looking for, that kind of image. And that is what will actually allow you to change the countdown. So look for that kind of icon, and that's the timer for it. And so once you switch that, you're done. 4,500. What did the Note 7 have? The Note 7 had 3,500. Well, a whole bunch of questions slaughtered. Everybody drink. Um, 60 watt, over 9,000 watts. Couldn't resist. I wouldn't mind faster charging. 60 watts, what I want. So I'm very curious about something. I have Sandian HG radio from Troy, Michigan, and I can pick up 2 AM radio stations all the way in Pennsylvania. Um, I'm not sure what phone you have. There are some phones that have a built-in radio antenna, but it only works if you have a headphone jack. So that was an older feature. The reason is because the actual you worked as the antenna. The headphones connecting to the headphone port and then going into your ears essentially worked as an antenna. So yeah, that was a really cool thing. So yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that was the thing or if it's just not necessarily. There are AM radio stations that are now also streaming through the internet, so that's another possibility, obviously. But yeah, different possibilities. 15-20 minute charger. ING. What does ING stand for? Because I'm thinking like something on the go, but not. I'm not sure. What does ING stand for? I could use a phone being able to charge my smartwatch at work. Yeah, I have done that definitely when I've missed out for sure. That I do I have when I forget to charge my watch, I have definitely used my phone as a charger. Unfortunately, the Ultra does not work with the S20 or the Galaxy Watch Ultra does not work with the S25 Ultra. I'm hoping that the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 will, but I really will be annoyed if that's the only thing that it changes. So I'm hoping the Ultra will change more stuff, but that's one thing that I definitely would want. What AI features does the Galaxy Watch have? I have not really used any AI features on the watch, to be honest. They started really touting all the AI stuff after the watch came out. Yeah, I'm looking at all the apps. I don't even see any of their AI apps on here. I don't even see Gemini on here. I see still Google Assistant. So, yeah, it's still Google Assistant on here. So they haven't really brought AI as much to the watch, but I'm guessing that's something that the Watch 2 will be all about. Um, I really wanted to get the Galaxy Watch S from eBay. I know the OS won't work, but the watch is oldie but goodie. My brother wanted to do that too, and I just told him like, yeah, it's not gonna work that well, man. Like, I don't know what you want from me, but yeah, it's not gonna work as well. Um, do you think Bianca was behind Jade Cargill? Absolutely. You know what I think we're gonna find out? The SmackDown after WrestleMania when Bianca is champion, or sorry, the Raw after WrestleMania when Bianca is champion. You're gonna find out that she was behind it all, as a Triple H kind of reveal. You're damn right it was me. So yeah, that's for sure gonna happen. Sorry, I don't even know what this is, and my knowledge of stations is not as much. Delivers local HG radio stations. So all this does is it delivers HG radio stations that stream, essentially. That's what HD radio is. HD radio is radios that stream, instead of just the traditional radio waves. So yeah, that's what this thing does. But yeah, it's a cool looking boombox. But yeah. I still can't believe it is always funny to me when like retro tech makes a comeback on certain things. Like, I have heard that cassettes are starting to make a comeback. Why? Like, cassette doesn't even have the benefit of vinyl, which was superior quality to cassette and CDs. Why is cassettes making a comeback? Like, it's just that one threw me for a loop when I heard that they're making a comeback all of a sudden. I'm like, don't do that. Don't no. You don't know. You don't know. Will you be able to charge the Galaxy Watch 4S Classic on the S25 Ultra? I'm forgetting what was the issue. Was it the phone or the watch? Charge. Um, that's when you know AI doesn't always work. Um, sorry, an AI, Google AI at the top was wrong about something. S25 Ultra charging watch. Um, I cannot find. Reverse wireless charging, but does support all wearables. The company even advises the older charging pucks. Samsung made some trade-off with health tracking, aren't complying with the current full speed that worked. Despite the limitations on the watch itself, the flagship Galaxy Watch 7 watch Ultra. We tested reverse wireless charging with the S25 and only when it carefully held the watch on the back. So, from what I can see, it can do it, but it's not always. Um, it doesn't really like it can be very easily hit out of place. I'm looking up Sammy Guru. So yeah, I'll put this article in the chat just so you guys can look at it more. So yeah. Um, Watch was the issue. So the S20, so the Galaxy Watch was the issue. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. So it looks like yeah, the when they tested it out, it was mainly because it's somewhat compatible with Qi 2, so which I thought it wasn't, but whatever. Oh, that's something else. Cassettes, what? Wow, that's retro. Um, cassette and reel to reel was relaxing to edit back in the day. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that I mean, just to look at the cassettes go was always kind of cool. But yeah, people want to live in the glory days of cassette tapes. Maybe they'll bring back 8-track. Uh, I guarantee you there will be 8-track renaissance too. What is a cassette exactly? I know you're younger, Ben. Cassette was the way. So you know streaming music on phones or electronic devices, right? Before that, there was MP3 players or iPods, all that kind of stuff. Before that, there was CDs, so disc that played about 15 to 18 tracks. Before that, there was something called a cassette tape. If you just look it up, cassette tape, and that was essentially if you've heard of the Walkman, or it was in a lot of 90s and 80s. Basically, the way they listened to music. If you ever seen a movie from that era, and that was basically tape that played on a little cassette or a boombox. The thing you actually sent me is a newer version of what used to be called a boombox, which you used to put a cassette tape in and it used to play music. So yeah, more cassettes for Soundwave from the Transformers. There you go. Oh my god, that's funny. I never thought of that. Soundwave would like it would you would have to change the way what he was now. Like if you were to remake Transformers, right? Like it's like, well, he's not gonna be a cassette. He can't play cassettes. But people won't know what that is. You might as well be a record player more than a cassette player, because at least I would say more people know records, vinyl records, big discs that spin and everything like that. Does anyone remember mini disc or mini disc players? Yeah, man. I actually, what that brings me back to more of what I was into was the mini DVs. Essentially, the way camcorders used to record, right? So camcorders before SD cards on modern cameras and internal storage, there was a lot of different kind of ways to record. Some were mini disc, which Sony, I believe, had the market on, and some were mini DV, which was like a mini cassette player. That was another kind. And then, before it went fully integrated or SD card storage, there was a hard drive storage. But yeah, there was just so many different things with that kind of stuff. My mom saved a ton of music mini disc. Yep. No, I mean, there was so many things that changes we've gone through. And I said this once before, but it's kind of trippy to me. Like, um, you know, my brother's generation, he was 10 years younger than me. So he grew up without internet, without smartphones. I want to say till he was probably in his 20s, right? Like that's when the smartphones started coming out. Or sorry, not smartphones, cell phones started coming out for him. For me, my, elementary to high school was the real boom period of the internet, where we had DSL and cable, which were faster versions of internet than what the old beginning entry level was of dial-up, when you had a home phone, and you couldn't use the home phone if you used the internet. So that was a whole thing back then. And I was introduced in the cell phone era, the beginning cell phone era, when it became everyone could use it, not just rich people. So I went through that. I went through the birth of the internet. I went through all these, how we consume media, whether it be music through eventually going internal, right, and streaming and all that kind of stuff. But I went through CDs and cassettes. For movies, I went through VHS. I went through DVD players. I went through Blu-rays and even 4K HD before going to streaming. So all these kind of things, right? And my daughter, right, who is in her teens right now, she never knew a world without the internet or smartphones, because she had them both since, I mean, it's been since what, she was around 5 years old, probably, that those things were both I mean, probably even before that. But yeah, so that was something, right? My son, in the 5 year range right now, will never know a world without AI. Like, Google Assistant has been around since he was like, I remember, I like, one of the funnest things that I did when he was a baby was, I used to say, hey, turn on the lights or turn on the TV. And I wanted him to be used to something really cool. So I put my hand out like it was the Force. And I went like this. And because I went like this as a baby, he wouldn't concentrate on what I just said. He concentrated that I was holding my hand out. And I turned on the light. And he would start going like this. Like, because he wanted the light on. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. I remember my first time, my wife told me, like, do you know why he's raising his hand? And I'm like, oh yeah, I taught him that's how you turn on the light. So it was just a really funny thing that I just, that it's just cool to see the different technology evolve, right? And just how everything is different. Like, I guess the one thing, my brother's generation, if you were born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s, I guess his generation, there was always like cable TV, I want to say, around that point, right? Like cable TV, I think, was born in the 80s, I want to say. So that was a big thing, right? And his generation was the birth of video games, right? My generation, I would think, was really the boom period of it, right? The Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation era, like that was my generation. Xbox, like we started with all those consoles and then moved up. But yeah, so like I never had what my son will have. I play video games with my son all the time. Like that's his favorite pastime, is like, oh, me and dad are going to play video games. My dad didn't even know how to turn on a video game console, right? Like, it just wasn't something we connected with. So it's very interesting, just the different generations of technology and how people are good at technology will change the way they're raised moving forward. I just think it's always fascinating. Um, I had a Tandy 1000HX. There you go. I remember when auto reverse cassette came out, we couldn't figure out how to flip the tape itself over. Yep. Um, you remember a Tandy computer from Radio Shack? I'd never had it myself, but I do remember. I know what it was. Laserdisc. I'm still trying to transfer stuff from VHS to digital. It is very difficult, and because so VHS is such a retro track that they stopped making it a while back, right? So you can only get it used now, and like I'm just gonna let's just take a look at eBay real quick. I'm just so curious. Let's see. VHS player or V what? I forgot the name. VCR was a VHS player. Ah, oops, I was turning up the volume. VCR player. So VCR players. I mean, like you wouldn't expect a VCR player to be like $50, right? Like you're like, wait, what? I'm playing that much, and really, you don't want a VCR player. Like that is something cool. But really what you want is at least to get a VCR combo player, because that would at least allow you to put it on a DVD, so that way you can actually really use it, you know, to put it on more modern stuff, right? You want to put it on more modern day stuff. So, but these, look at this. Like, okay, one used one you can get for like $70, but more so 150, $430 because it's never been open. It's brand new. But these are really expensive for tech that's very retro, like very retro. Like this is probably how much it cost them back in the day, like how retro this is. So yeah, it's something that's still in high demand. And it's something that you would want because you want to, you know, VHS to digital. It's then you can connect into your computer via USB, right? So you connect these as a TV output to your VCR, and then you connect it to via USB into your computer, and you have to play the entire thing. So you have to play. It's not saying that it's like a transfer speed, right? Like, okay, it's this big of a file, I'll just transfer it over. No, how this works is you literally have to play it for however long it is. If it's a 2.5 hour thing, you have to play it for the 2.5 hours. If it is a 6 hour tape, you have to play it for 6 hours. And a lot of movie memories are tied to these things. So yeah, these things still exist. They're still around and they still cost money. So yeah, it's something that is still around, and it there's a business out of it for sure. I can go to a Goodwill store and get a VCR for $10. Really? Okay, so here's the thing about that. Do you trust it to be a good quality at Goodwill? Because that would be my thing. I don't have many Goodwills around me, but I definitely have Salvation Armies, right? And my thing would be is VCRs. If you have a VCR or if you have a VHS tape, sometimes you only get one shot. And I say this because I have literally tried to do this probably more than that, probably like 7 years ago. I tried to do it for a family member, and the VCR that I bought ate up the tape. So yeah, it was gone. But it's a very thing you have to be care of for sure. Sony had the technology that allowed you to do a bunch of albums in one compact disc. The player allowed you to have folders. Do you remember what it was called? It was an MP3 CD. I think that's what you're talking about. An MP3 CD could store up to the full amount, which was it 128 gigs? So I think it could be like about 60 songs to 80 songs worth in one. And yes, you can completely do files and everything like that. But that was something that I think that's what you're talking about. But MP3 CDs were towards the end of CDs. It was in my high school years, so I remember having that on my car. I got an MP3 CD player. It was like so cool because it like had like a graphic on it. I remember, and like had a color screen and all that. I got my first smartphone when I was 6 years old in 2013. It was the iPhone 4S. Exactly. So yeah, that that is again, that was like you really grew up with smartphones. So it's like there are certain ages that like you grew up with smartphones. My son will grow up like with like he's starting at 5G, right? I believe the iPhone 4S. I don't know. I think that was LTE. I think that was LTE. I think that was the first one that had LTE. But there was before 4G, right? There was the 3GS, which was the first 3G iPhone. I think the 4S was LTE, but it's a different type of internet speed that we were dealing with back then. Yeah, my VCR using died too. My VCR costed me over $800. It was a top loader. Oh, yeah, top loaders were that was rare. And yeah, it really is crazy how like some technology was just so high up there before it became obsolete, right? Like I remember external Blu-ray players for computers were so much money, and I really wanted to get it. And I never bought it because it was just too expensive. And then by the time it was more affordable, I didn't need it anymore. So it's really interesting how like higher end of a technology could really go up there in cost for sure. Um, I remember having a small TV with a VCR DVD combo. I will say, my niece still had one of those in her room. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and I instantly was like, I need to buy this little girl a better TV. They kept it. They just wanted to keep it, and it just happened to be in her room. But I was just like, my family can't be going out like this. Like, I no, I felt obligated. I told my wife, I'm like, look, I know because I think at the time I didn't have the best job, or I was in between jobs or something like that. I was part time jobs, whatever. But I was like, I know we don't have much money right now, but this hurts my soul. Like, yeah, so I remember that for sure. But yeah, I mean, I had one back in the day. I had a big TV, which I think was like a 27-inch or 32-inch with a VHS and a DVD player because I still had my VHS Dragon Ball movies. And yeah, I was going towards DVD players for sure. But yeah, I remember those days. Um, I had a friend have a VCR and still uses it. I think really cool. And some people still use tube TVs because they have retro consoles too. So if you have like a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis, it really does look better on the old tube TVs. My first cell phone was a 7-Eleven. It was a flip phone I had to buy with a card with minutes. I remember the cards with the minutes. Oh yeah, I always I don't even think my kids would know that actually. That like um that before there was like Sprint, Verizon, all these companies. You had limited minutes on you could talk at, and then they came out with like 9 p.m. and later was unlimited minutes, and then it became 7 p.m. and then finally it became unlimited minutes. But it was a thing where remember all we had was basic phones, so you couldn't type with a full keyboard, so the texting wasn't big yet. But you waited for a certain time to make a phone call because that's when you had unlimited minutes, whereas like during the week you only could talk for like an hour. I think it was 2 hours, and then it became maybe 5 hours before it became unlimited, but every carrier had a different thing. But I remember all that stuff. But yeah, there was minutes were not unlimited always. I remember the name. It was CD, 8-track CD. It was developed by Sony. Oh, okay, got it. Oh yeah, the minutes cards. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean prepaid was still that way. I feel like only till I I want to say 4 years ago. I think that's when they finally went like, oh yeah, you can have unlimited minutes. Now we're going to charge you by the internet. The 8-track CD, compressed audio disc, 8-track 3 plus formats was part of Sony's 8-track coding. Got it. Yeah, I just knew them as when you burn CDs on a regular CDR, you could create either a regular CD, which every CD player could work with, or there was the MP3 CD, which you could use the full storage. And actually, no, I think it was like, hey Google, how much storage was in a CD?
According to Wikipedia, standard CDs have a diameter of 120 millimeters and are designed to hold up to 74 minutes of uncompressed stereo digital audio, or about 650.
So it was about 650 megabytes. So you could actually, MP3 CDs could have fit over 100 songs, typically. And T-Mobile was free weekends. There you go. Yeah, you had free weekends. That's when you could make all your phone calls and everything like that. That's when the couples came out. So yeah, you could fit about 100 songs. All right, guys. I think we are winding down, though. I just realized it's already 9 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top, Usher. I don't know what that was, but yeah. If you guys have seen that, Usher tried to lie on what that song was. 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top, cruising the streets. No matter what he says, he's cruising the streets. It's a TikTok, Instagram reel. Watch Usher, Nice and Slow, if you want to know what I'm talking about. But that like it set millennials off. We were like, what? No, and it did what it wanted to do. Like I think it got back into circulation. So smart marketing. But yeah. All right, guys. I think we will call it a night. Solo or Jacob? Jacob for sure. Thank you for the time. So thank you guys for your time. And yeah, I should have 2 videos out this week. And one of them should be the S25 camera video finally. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you can, no, it wasn't Who's in the Streets. It was not Who's in the Streets. That's a lie. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button before you head out if you can. It really helps me out on the algorithm side. And yeah, I will catch you guys next week. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Thank you so much again for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Also, follow me on social media at YouTube Tech Guy. And check out some more great tech videos on your screen right now.